Hi, everybody. For this episode of Nick on 90s, I'm going to talk about the 1993 film The Program. Directed by David S. Ward, who also claimed to fame. It's kind of his baby was Major League.
Oh, yeah.
He wanted to, he was a big fan of the Cleveland Indians, and he said the only opportunity of them ever winning the World Series is if I make a movie about that. But he also wrote the screenplay for Sleepless in Seattle. He wrote the screenplay for Sting, recently The Flyboys, and he wrote and directed King Ralph. I don't know if you had that opportunity.
Oh, I love me some King Ralph.
Eventually we have to get to that.
Oh, absolutely.
I've learned now he's a professor at Chaplin University teaching screenwriting and filmmaking at that. So if you ever have opportunity to see him teach.
No fault on him, but he didn't win an Academy Award for screenwriting, so I wonder how he ended up there and not directing. But
yeah, how did he do that? Okay, screenplay is, of course, written by David S. Ward, but also contributing was Aaron Latham, who written the screenplay for Urban Cowboy, but also was a freelance journalist for Rolling Stones. If you look at the article, he was a paid freelancer for the Rolling Stones. He did a lot of articles for them. So they have this mixture of him. Aaron likes to do really groundwork of behind the scenes of how things get made, show the gears working, how things get constructed. But here you have David S. Ward likes to soften up a little of the comedic angle of it.
Yeah, the lunacy of it all.
Yeah, pretty much, right. We'll get to the lunacy of it.
Well, and Aaron also, it seems like 90-10, like the non-football to football ratio in the film, which is a little unusual for a football film.
Yeah, he's absolutely right. Yeah. It stars James Caan. He plays the salty Sam Winters, the coach. It has a very fresh-faced Halle Berry. I think this is one of the first films she's ever been in.
I think following up Last Boy Scout, where she's barely in.
Barely in it, right. Yeah, follow up that. Omar Epps is in her. He plays running back Darnell Jackson. And then Craig Sheffer comes on the scene. This is actually, I think, after Nightbreed.
After Nightbreed, before his Hellraiser stint.
Excellent call. And then he made in 1985, he was with Emilio Estevez in the film. That was then This Is Now, which is based on a S.E. Hinton story. Eventually, we're going to have to review that movie because it's all filmed in St. Paul, Minnesota. And then you have you have Andrew Bernarski, who was, if you see Batman Returns, he plays Christopher Walken's son in that.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
just
then
shattered my glass here.
It doesn't. You don't see him very much. Go ahead, Dad. You say, save yourself. But also here he plays the roid-raged Latimer in this movie.
I can see how he got into the Texas Chainsaw remake as Leatherface. With that
there's a little
attitude.
bit of controversy because the person who played the original Leatherface didn't really like his performance, and then when he passed away, he kind of tweeted out, good for him, So there's a little bit of controversy of how he interacted and stuff like that. Dwayne Davis plays Alvin Mack in this movie. Interesting to note that his son Wyatt Davis played for in real life played for Ohio State Buckeyes, and now his son is playing for the New York Giants football team. Interesting footnote. I never know about the Dwayne Davis. He usually plays jocks in movies. I think he was in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And then you have Christy Swanson, who dyed her hair for this movie. She plays a tennis star. I think this is after Buffy. 1993 was Buffy the film.
I think that was about the same time it came out. So I think, it was Buffy probably hit first, though, yeah.
All right. So if you didn't know, it's based on a fictional university called Eastern State University. But in the movie, they play real-life programs in the movie. You have a mixture of a kind of a waning, almost like they're supposed to be almost like Florida State. But you have kind of the culture of the office is upset that the program is not exceeding. They've lost going to bowl games. Understand, in 1983, there was only 10 bowl games. Now we have 30 of them. So to get one was accomplished feat. Now it's just, you can be a losing record, you can get into a bowl game. So that kid's kind of misnomed. You don't really know about that now. Going back to watching it now to what I see, it's a little more melodramatic than I thought it would be. It's a little bit of Days of Our Lives. There's a love triangle in there that I just don't buy. I like the action. I love the football of it. It's got points, but I just pull back to what they try to do with the Joe Kane's alcoholism, and then he's adrenaline junking. You have Latimer doing drugs. You have Alvin Mack's role of all of a sudden he gets hurt, and you have all this mess, and you almost wonder, like Roger Ebert, you almost wonder what the other programs are going through, or is this one that's cataclysmic?
Getting everything.
Yeah. I do like the performance of it. They're all very well. You have a very young Joey Lawrence makes a surprise hit.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
But it just overall the dialogue's kind of chunky. I think when I was 15, I thought it was the greatest movie ever made, and that's because it's probably made for people like it younger. But going back, I like to see how it, how we treated football is, in the late 90s. I was a football player in 1993 in high school. Then we all did all those events, but it's kind of funny that the overlay dialogue when you play football. That's almost like David S. Ward of almost you get the jokes like, oh my God, I'm getting hit.
Yeah.
When you play, you don't have the energy to play because you're running full blast. You don't have the energy to speak out.
Yeah, there's very much that major league, but breathing heavily.
Yeah. Overall, the characters are very two-dimensional. They're very thin. I don't get a lot of depth. Even when we get so much about Craig Sheffer's character, the Joe Kane character, we don't really get a lot more depth to other than I want to be a good person. I'm scared to be a success. And they almost wear their faults on their sleeves. I mean, it's almost like, yeah, I got this problem.
Well, it's like every time you see the character, they're dealing with the same thing. Like it's consuming their entire life.
Yeah, I mean, even like there's a point in this movie that's kind of outdated, but they blame Latimer's trying to get super rapey with a girl that it's his steroids. Yeah. Instead of like your sexual assault, it's like you got to get off the steroids. It's almost like they blame the excuse for that.
Yeah, I mean he's just a good boy, is what they
And then the movie, Joe Kane's character gets a blatant concussion. How you doing? I still got a headache. Well, get out there and play. We don't do that anymore. So it's a little outdated, but it's also kind of hard to digest the soporific melodrama. Overall, I have to agree with Roger Ebert. It's almost like we want to root for them, but also hate them for how they achieve it. I get the flavor of that as well. That we are also supposed to also root for them, but also disgusted how they got there and maintain it. If you're like to know what football was kind of like in 1993 with action, know kind of what with the comedy, I recommend it. But understand it's very dated.
Yes. Well, my question for you this week, Nick, is there's so many character stories going on in this film. I want you to tell me which one you think would make the best singular story for a film and which character you would delete.
I think the Alvin Mack character is the most enduring one. He's got the heart of the whole team. I would like to see kind of they do a sequel, like a continuation of his character, because in real life his son went to play on football. Yeah, be interesting to see like a development, like maybe his character's coaching or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I know the Latimer provides a sequence of the damage you do to your body just to achieve stardom. I would like a little more humanity to that.
Yeah, they could have dived deeper into that character and made it more interesting. I was disappointed in that character overall.
And I just don't care about the backup quarterbacks fall in love with the coach's daughter and stuff. There's a lot of stuff that will get removed. But Fair enough. The love triangle needs to be done. That's kind of added in or just to add in there. So what do you think of the program? Keep the conversation going. Do you enjoy the movie? There's certain elements I do kind of still enjoy of it, but I understand the flaws of it are kind of taken away from it as well. Yeah. So that's it for Nick on 90s. That's it. Keep watching.